Today in Big Stack Small Workshop, we're going to make this matching set of men's and ladies' belts. First things first, let's get our supplies together for the buckle side of the belt. I'll put Amazon links to all my supplies in the comments below. I chose 2 pre-punched English bridle leather belt blanks, but you can get some buffalo blanks for about half the price. I always keep a few standard buckles on hand, but I have 2 particular buckles in mind for this project, which I think will work very nice. I wanted to step it up a bit with some copper rivets. These can be a bit tricky for beginners, but with a little practice, they are fairly easy to set. I also used 2 pre-made belt loops. Start by sliding your buckle onto the belt blank and double check to see that it isn't on backwards. Put your first rivet in and use the rivet tool to set the rivet washer in place. It's important to use a non-marring hammer so you don't damage the riveting tool. Slide your belt loop in, and then set the second rivet washer in place. Grab a pair of end nippers and cut the rivet post just slightly above the washer. Now, use the long end of the rivet tool and a non-marring hammer to set both rivet posts over their washers. Sometimes I even use my mini ball peen hammer to make the rivet heads look a little more rustic. I had a little bit of an issue with that second belt. No. Would you believe that I installed the rivet backwards? The pliers did nothing to pull it off. So I cut the post off as low as I could and decided to just drill the rivet out. This time I doubled and triple checked it just to make sure it was right before setting it. Good job there, Sparky. Looks like you got it in right this time. I'm saving all these copper rivet cutoffs so I can buy my mansion in the hills for retirement. Now it's time to punch the holes. I always make 5 holes 1 inch apart from each other. Rolling your punches in beeswax makes it easier to cut the holes. And yank it out. I use a regular old utility knife with a very sharp blade to cut the ends. Just make sure everything is done symmetrical and no one will ever know. Go slow and make multiple passes. I usually use a power sander, but a sanding block works just as well. I like to use an edge beveler on both sides, but you can use a utility knife and a steady hand to bevel these edges just the same. Grab a Sharpie and die the end of your tip very carefully. Wet the edges with water and start burnishing. I made a burnishing tool which fits on my lathe, but you can burnish them by hand as well. Put some beeswax on your belt tip and burnish it again. The friction will heat up the wax and seal it really nicely. Look at that pro job there, son. That's a good looking belt end. I use shoe cream to condition my belts. Black cream for black belts and neutral cream for my brown belts. Dump it on there, nice and thick. Let it sit for about 10-15 minutes, then buff it off with the old t-shirt rag.
Remember, in my small workshop, Big Stacks grows, Big Stacks builds, and Big Stacks makes. Other than a few specialty tools and a few big power tools, everything that I use is stuff that you probably already have at home or can get fairly inexpensively. So there's no reason to go out and spend a lot of extra money to do the same exact things I do here. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button. Subscribe to get more of my great content in your news feed, and I'll see you next time at Big Stacks Workshop.